Pencil power. Why, hello there, art venturers, and welcome to a long-awaited, highly anticipated next video in the Pencil Powers YouTube series. You know, as artists, we go through these phases, and I haven't felt like I've had much to contribute for a while. I've been slowly making some improvements in my art, but I haven't had anything that I'm like, this seems something valuable to share. Until I stumbled across Loish. Loish? I don't actually know how to say Lois H. I don't know if that's. I probably should have looked that up before the video, but Loish. Her video or her Patreon has numerous tutorials, and after just doing one tutorial, I was able to come up with this drawing, which I was really happy with, and I felt like it's pushing my art to a new level. And so I wanted to share some of the insights I've been having and things I've been learning from her. I definitely highly recommend. For $5 a month you can get access to all these Patreon tutorials, so check that out. I'll try to put a link in the description, but if not, just look up her name on Patreon. And yeah, there's many great tutorials. So I wanted to focus on head construction today. So you see these are some of the head guys that I've been drawing. So there are the male ones as well. These ones I thought I really like this fellow over here. But yeah, so both on the female and male heads I've been making some progress, and the things that I'm going to show you today aren't especially like revolutionary, but I think that the way that she does them kind of there's little nuances and things I'll point out that have really helped me, and so hopefully they'll be helpful for you as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing to do is the circles. You know, these circles with the crossed lines. So that's pretty basic. One thing I've noticed is that, and this is actually something I noticed before these tutorials, but in her art as well, rarely are you going to get the horizontals. You know what I mean? The completely horizontal head. Having just a little bit of a tilt in the head, regardless of what direction that is, whether it's tilting like this or tilting like that, so you could have it like that as well, is going to really give a lot more personality to the head. So I'm going to go ahead and give it just a little bit of a curve like that, let's say. Okay. And she emphasizes not having to get things perfect. So this is a bit of an upward looking angle, which is more tricky. Let me do one next to it that's going to be a downward looking angle. So if we have it, instead of a up pointing U, if we got a down pointing U like we do over here, then we're going to have the head is looking downwards. And see, this one's almost straight. It's got just a little bit of a curve, so I'll leave it like that. But I might emphasize that if I was really going to try to push these characters. And the second thing is just to add the bottom part. And for the female, so let's do male ones underneath on both these angles. How about that? That'll be a good little exercise. She really pushes the jaw to actually go out wider than the circle. So for a male character before, I might have done something like that, where we have a more square jaws right here, square angles, and a little bit like further down to give them that extra chin. But she even pushes that to make it, you know, most of the male characters, this jaw comes out further than the head. You see? So I think that's a big, and then kind of connecting these lines or creating that will give you the head construction. So let's do one downward facing one here. Oops, let's see how would that look. So let's bring this plumb line down, put the chin down there, and see here I'm going to say like, okay, I know that if this was a ball and I'm dividing it into quarters, right? Then like imagine it's a beach ball. The ear is going to be somewhere here. So that's where I'm actually going to have the jawline come out, not all the way here, because we're going to have, this is going to be the back of the head. So something like that. Let's go ahead. And the other cool thing, which I'm going to keep studying on my own and probably make a separate video on, which has been super helpful and something that I've realized that I'm really attracted to her art because first off, it's great. Lots of people like her art, and I can see why. But when she shared some of her influences, like Alfonso Mucha, that's what I always said, Alfonso. I don't know how he's pronounced. And J.C. Leyendecker were two that she pointed out, and I was like, I love those artists. And she points out that they really have like this powerful shape language. So for the jaw, even like, like here's an exaggeration, but just kind of pushing those jaw lines and really giving it these flowy shapes. So that's something that, yeah, I'm going to be experimenting with more, and I'll try to share with you guys once I've made a bit of a breakthrough. So that jaw's sticking out a little more than, so let's say, see how now it's got a little bit of this, that's a more interesting shape than just that. It's got a little more flow, it's got a little more pizzazz, if you will. Okay, cool. And so I'll do these like more slowly, and then I'll just mess around and do like a whole bunch of little doodles of the face construction. And yeah, hopefully this will be helpful for you. So the next thing was, I know she'd do these, she just basically puts the eyes in as like a little line or dot, just like that to start off with. And then these like kind of cartoony eyebrows right on this line. Now here, the eyes basically come right below, I've noticed, this construction line, and then the eyebrows things will just kind of be generally above. And so I just changed that because this is kind of a side note, but kind of having this, the eyes have this kind of a shape, like a little bit of an alien, and then you stick the eye inside. It's a nice way to make sure that like these eyebrow angles curve around the shape of the head. So you see how this one is kind of going like that, and this one's like this. So, but again, keeping it super loose, so I keep it super loose here. And she uses a circle for the nose, which is something that I hadn't seen too much. And she'll say, okay, I'll vary the shape of the circle, so it might be rounder, taller. But just super simple, just draw a circle where you want the nose to be, and I really like that. So let's go ahead and do these guys too. So it does take a bit of a feel, and one of the things with her art style she mentioned is she tends to do the eyes farther apart. And I've noticed this, like even before watching her tutorials, that like having the eyes farther apart is better than having them closer. Farther apart does have a cool kind of stylistic vibe. If you put the eyes too close together, it tends not to work, I think, at least not for me. So here I'm also going to, so let's say we had the head construction like that. I'm kind of like creating more of an angular vibe with the eyebrows. So here, I'm going to keep things more angular for the male faces in general, just to kind of emphasize these traditional masculine and feminine features in this construction. And, obviously there's a whole spectrum in between, but just to kind of like push this to get the point, to get the idea across, then, but yeah, then I'm going to kind of keep things more angular on the more masculine faces. And so we've got the nose here, just putting two circles in. And then one thing I noticed about the mouth is, let's have it follow the curve. So this one has this slightly upwards curve, right? Let's have it follow that curve and follow the angle. So that's like, and then at the end, have it come up the other way. This looks like a slight smile, but if you can do it different ways, like let's say if I can use the same one to not make a smile. See, that's a little more neutral. But having that, so this one, you can do the opposite. See how it follows, the middle part follows the overall curve of the head. So if the overall curve of the head's like that, the middle part's like this, and then the two edges go down. If it's the other way around here, it goes like this, and the two edges go up. And then you could connect that, and see now you've got a basic mouth. And here the same thing. So I found that to be a really helpful little tip trick that's been working for me. I'm still experimenting with it, but so far I've been finding it really valuable. So you can kind of get an idea of what's going on there. Cool. So the next thing, let's place the ears in. So again, like if it's a beach ball, kind of getting an idea of where it would be there. Here, this one's kind of over here. This one we know is over there. Oh, and one thing, so here's something I've noticed, which I've also been messing around with, is making the bottom, the top, so instead of something like this, where the top actually sticks out further than this bottom part, flip that around. Something like that. Well, that's a little exaggerated, but it kind of, it seems to be, it's working. I don't know. I've been messing around with that more, and I've been liking the results. So let's play with that some. So maybe it's not actually the bottom that sticks out further, but this part. But oops, what's going on here? Okay, the bottom that sticks out is like, I don't know. I'm having trouble articulating this, but I think you kind of hopefully get the idea. So here for this guy, something like that, and for this guy, something like that. You know what? Let's make one of them a fantasy character. So maybe something like that. Cool. And then, oh yeah, we've got him, so we can, and then here I'll keep it angular again. So that's not really working out as well. See, so it's not a full, it's not like a 100% right trick, or if it is, I haven't figured it out yet. Oh, there, see, that looks more normal. And then here, so we would have an upward curve, so let's do it with two lines like that. Something like that. I'm starting to realize that this line, the chin should be right, kind of in line. It wouldn't really make sense for it to be there, so the chin should actually be somewhere here. Maybe like that. So I'm going to scooch it on over. And the other thing she mentions, one thing that I should have probably put in a little earlier before getting into all this, is that the neck gives a lot of personality. So let's say I have the neck like this on this guy, right? You get one vibe. But let's say if I put the neck like that. Now he's kind of looking over his shoulder, which is interesting and different, gives a different flow, gives a different rhythm and vibe to the whole thing. So let's keep that one like that. This one maybe we'll keep it standard. So with the men, you know, thicker neck, more masculine, and kind of having it come out from behind the ear and taper out. So if here's the head, not straight down like that, though that can work, but with a slight outward taper. You see how it's, you know, keeping it, and then having this, just this U shape right here, something like that, which comes down, it's the sternocleidomastoid or whatever that thing's called, and then wrapping around and give it a little Adam's apple, you know, that kind of indicates, you know, another line like that for the Adam's apple. That gives a lot of like flow and construction to the head with very little indicate, you know, without too much extra work. So just practicing, and we'll do a bunch of little quick constructions at the very end here where, you know, I'll try out different head things and you'll see me go through this much more quickly. So let's give her a neck. So here, this one's actually a little more, you can see that the taper is less outwards. So for the female heads, instead of the taper being like this, which again, it can work. See, that doesn't look too off. So here you see a quick construction like that, right? It can actually be a little bit more inwards, or straight at least. Something to experiment with to see what works, but you see this is how it's looking inwards. Right there. Cool. So I think the inwards usually works a little bit better. This one might be a little too far back. Looks like she's kind of reaching out with her head. Let's see what I can do. If I move it up a little bit. Another thing that she's mentioned that's been helpful, which I'm not following at all here because I've just started actually implementing it tonight, is not doing so many lines. It's not so many searching lines. So instead of me going like, you know what I mean? It's just to put it down once, you know, and once, and start to, and if I get it wrong, then go back and just redo it to try to get these more confident lines. And I think that's going to help in a lot of situations or in a lot of aspects of my art as I start to implement that style of doing things. Okay, cool. Okay, there's a quick head construction. So we'll do a few of those soon. And then for this one, let's give her like a different angle. Like what if I put the neck here? What does that do? I don't know, but it's kind of cool. I guess she's looking over her shoulder again. Is there another pose that another way I can put the neck in that would also work? What if her shoulders were up here? So then the neck would be like kind of coming out like that. I don't know what you could be doing, but whatever, that's kind of interesting. Cool. One thing with the hairlines real quick, the guys have this part following the eyebrows like that, you're going to get a little angle, and then the top. So this is going to be like if they have short hair, you can just do that. Here again, following this angle right here, and then having a dip, so it's like a two-pronged, what is 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what I'm having trouble articulating exactly what I mean, but I think you're seeing it. So I hope it's kind of clear. So then give them some hair, and again, I'm still working on the hair bit. That's something that she does incredibly well, and there's a lot with like shape language and rhythm going on there, but I haven't really. I feel like I haven't had a breakthrough there yet enough to speak on it here to give you guys some wisdom. I don't think I can impart that at this point. I'm barely kind of sharing the few things that are helping me here. So I'm just gonna stick with that. So I won't put any hair down, but like if I did, I would, I'll just say like big shapes, and then kind of, or think of the big overarching form rather than breaking it down into like individual strands of hair, which is a technique I've used in the past, and it can work to a certain degree, but I think at another level of artistry, having like more large shapes that you're working with is a lot more powerful, and really creates a different tone. But the kind of thinking about individual strands can be helpful in just starting to lay things down. Okay, cool. So let's just do a bunch of quick little head constructions. I think that's all I've got as far as the general tips. So now it's kind of just like, okay, so what would this look like if you're just practicing in your sketchbook? So I would say, start with the circle, create the cross hatching, put some dots in, try to keep them far apart. Err on the side of them being farther apart rather than closer together. I'd made the mistake of not putting a tilt, so this is very straightforward, which I don't love, but we're just going to practice with a bunch of heads, and I'll just mix it up as far as female and male heads. So don't put the Adam's apple in if it's a female head, and then bring this a little farther down. Excuse me. And just leave it like that. I won't do any hair on any of these. And then I was actually going to go into the eyes a little bit, but I honestly am still kind of figuring that out. But you can see like just going over, you're using that as like a very general placement, and then you're going to bring in whatever, eye drawing skills you have. So, and just keeping it, again, pretty simple at this stage. With the nose, again, I think I'll do a whole separate video of the nose, but I'll mention right now that one of the basic things is just to put in those nostrils and then build out from there. So I'm going to leave it at that for now because, again, I think I want to study that more, create a whole separate tutorial for the eyes and for the nose once I feel that I've broken it down enough to convey it in a simple and helpful way. That's kind of my vibe. I try to figure out how to simplify things so they're easy to follow along with step by step. And I have some videos on drawing the eyes and the nose and everything already, so you can check those out. Again, I think there's going to be updates as my style changes, but they're stepping stones, so there's still valuable videos to watch, and there's different ways of constructing the eyes and the nose and everything like that. So yeah, if you're looking for something like that, check them out on the channel. And okay, let's see. So 1, 2, like that. And then again, I'm seeing that the chin should be actually like right around, like further forward. So I'll just put a line there. And emphasize that. Cool. And you can see how like going from a very basic construction, and now as I start adding the details in, it starts to come to life. And you could even take this if you have the skills to do like more realistic faces, or then you could take it in that direction if you want to go completely cartoony. So let's go more cartoony on this next one. So oops, let me just get a roundish circle there, and let's tilt it back a little bit. And then this is a female one, so we're going to keep that a lot shorter, not as much of a jaw there. Put in some dots for the eyes, a circle for the nose, and then let's try to have her smiling. So this one, I'm not actually going to follow my method that I mentioned to you. Let's just try to give it a smile. And then maybe I'll just put some dots in the corners. I found that that's another way because the mouth kind of dips into the corners there. So that's cool. That kind of worked out. I'm starting to learn that the more, getting into more advanced, or as my art improves, I'm finding that these hard and fast rules, actually we can zoom in a little bit, these, they work, the like kind of rules or construction methods, they work, but then there's always a time to break them or try something new. So what did I want to do with this one? I was going to, what was I going to do here? I was going to try something different. Oh, do something more cartoony. So I didn't really achieve that, but let's say I could do the nose like, or let's just do it on the next one. The next one will be more, well, here I can make the eyes bigger, for instance, and then if I was going for like a more anime vibe, I could give it, I could just put anime type styled eyes in there. So here again, the neck is tapering inwards as opposed to tapering outwards like that. Cool. Let's do a couple more. We'll do 3 more. Okay, we'll do 6 total. Excuse me, I'm going to cover the mic for a sec. Many pardons, 1,000 apologies. So let's have this one looking down more. And we'll do a male face. Let's go to kind of alternate. And let's say it was like an anime type face. So here, let's put in the little lines just to do the construction. And then maybe I'll have and then so one thing that I've noticed, which I didn't mention before, which I'll go into the eye thing, is sometimes the next stage will be to put kind of these, if you've seen my how to draw like bad bucket video, kind of these bad bucket eyes, where they're just kind of lines. And then from the next stage, she'll build out on that. Okay, so let's go from there. And then if I kind of make this, like I would make this darker, I'll leave it for now though. Because I don't want to end up with. And then like what would anime? Is that more cartoony? It's not like cartoony, but you know what I mean. Like you can add that style, so you can take this in different directions. You can give them a little chin hair or something. Cool. Kind of like that character. Okay. Next one will be a female face. Let's do one looking straight forward. I don't know why I haven't. I guess I haven't done that because kind of there's more to demonstrate with the different angles, and that's what I've been practicing more lately. Cool. So then we've got the eyes are below that cross line, the nose, and the mouth, and then putting those little dots in the corner. See how that kind of gives the mouth a little bit of depth already. Remember keeping the middle part a little bit wider. I like that style for now. That's what I'm kind of going with. And then, so here if you wanted to go, like I'm not very good at anime eyes, but if you wanted to, which is something that kind of bothers me because I'm like, I do like anime. It's never been my like primary style, but like Dragon Ball Z is like changed my life, man. That's what it's all about. Okay, I'm not gonna try to like invent a new style here, but just to give you an idea or to like advance a style I struggle with here. But you know, you could go and do different things. So let's actually give this a little bit. Let's stick a little more in my comfort zone. So doing the upper, the main thing though to do with the eyes, I think, is the upper lid and the iris. You know what I'm saying? Like those two lines or two things, upper lid, the iris. Getting those, and you'll be 99% to having some eyes on your face. Or it's like the most important start to it, I think. And you know, you can add some eyelashes, and you could come in here and continue to like flesh it out or design it how you want. All right, let's do our last face, which will be a male face. And this one we'll do a little bit, let's try with a less square jaw. So instead of coming out, the jaw is actually coming in slightly. Okay, and this one again is more of a straightforward view. Do a circle there. And here we can actually use that technique a little bit. So you see how it's subtly like this is an exaggerated version, but it's actually just subtle and then kind of coming up at the edges, and then I connect that over. So this guy's happy, as you can probably tell. Oops. And then let's put the neck a little bit off skew, so that kind of gives it a little more. And let's actually make the neck a little less thick too, so we can experiment with what that might look like. So this is the kind of stuff where it's like, okay, you got this basic template you can use, and now experiment with proportions, with angles, like just kind of play with it and see what comes up. So now I'm kind of making the eyes more skewed towards center. Maybe it looks a little cross-eyed. No, not really, kind of. And then again, we're gonna keep these a little more angular. All right. Got the hairline. And that's it. So then from here, you know, I would probably make a new layer and start playing around. Maybe like, oh, the eyes look the irises are a little too big for me, for my liking. There we go. And that's it. So I hope this was helpful and that it has imbued you with just a little bit more pencil power. Cool.